Going to go through a little bit of oops, and that's okay from a VC standpoint. What tips can you give them? Is it possible to guarantee funding, first of all? Are there any tips that would increase their chances of getting funding?
Well, unfortunately, no. I guess you have to, maybe it would be helpful to explain, like I said before, not everyone and most companies are just not appropriate for venture financing. So that's really kind of the most painful way to get money. If you can, go to a bank or borrow it from friends, family, as others have said, that's really where you want to go. If you're talking to VCs, you have to have a business plan that has $1 billion plus kind of market to justify the asset class. So you have to have a market that's big. You have to know what you're doing. So you really have to be. I have to think you're the smartest guy in the room on the subject, or the smartest guy, or I do. If you're not in that group, then that's not a good thing. It's got to be well thought through, and it helps a lot, especially if you're a first-time entrepreneur. If you really, as others have said up here, you got to have a good advisory board or a group of people that will give you a little more credibility when you're talking to people, and that helps a lot. So, basically networking, helps you a lot.
Right. And, Brian, just another question. How does for these guys starting a business, how to start a business, how does the funding cycle typically work? In short.
Well, when you're ready to submit a business plan, you'll have a PowerPoint, you'll submit it. Most funds will give you feedback within a week or two. And then you either yay or nay. If it's yay, you come in and usually do a pitch to usually sub-partner level people, and then maybe partner level people. It just depends on the group. Funds are very different. In Silicon Valley, there's more of an average, but down here, it's a very different community. But usually, maybe to answer the question better, usually you go to angel investors first if you're going after equity capital, and they'll, go like Tech Coast Angels or one of those groups, and they'll help you kind of, get the adult supervision and scale you up to where it might be appropriate to raise venture.
In 10 seconds. Angel investor. Explain to them what an angel investor is in 10 seconds.
Angel investor is basically just somebody who, high net worth individual, wants to personally invest in any business. So they're somebody you can put $50 to $1 million in a deal into an opportunity, usually on the lower end, but that's typically
seed capital.
Seed capital.
Right. Steve, what about you? You're in the 80s. You're doing $40 million a year. You decided you needed more money. Was it because you had a bigger vision, or your growth was high and you just needed more capital?
Well, it was a combination of both. At the time, I think we were in about 4 or 5 markets. We wanted to scale it and take it to where we eventually were in every market in the U.S. We were in Europe and Asia. So in order to scale it, you needed more inventory, more receivables, that sort of thing. So it was really to finance our growth, plain and simple.
How well did the stock do on opening day?
It did very well. I think it opened at, well, this is a split. It opened at about 12 and closed at about 19 or 20. But most IPOs don't sustain that, and I don't think we did either.
If I can just ask honestly, how many millionaires did you create that day?
A lot.
I know, because I know you employee stock, right?
My net worth went from, whatever the net worth of the company was divided by the number of shares. It probably went from $5 million to $250 million in one day.
Right, and did you have an ESOP, or you were just giving stock?
I did. I gave about, at one point, about 25% of the company away to my employees. Just gave it to them.
Yeah,
and
employment
then,
stock.
And then I made a bad investment. And that took half of what I had left to pay the banks off to make everyone whole. So over half of the company just went through one bad investment outside of Intertel, and the other half of that half went to the employees in the form of an ESOP, and then the rest went through public offerings and stock options and so on. I owned about 20% of the company when it got sold.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
ESOP is Employment Stock Options Program, or Employee Stock Options Program. Brett, what about you? Did you guys have an ESOP there, or was it just a few people that shared it with Y Combinator, seeing that they invested the seed capital?
Yeah, all the employees had options, definitely. I'm not sure exactly. I think some of it was actually reserved stock instead of options. But yeah, definitely. You know, and it basically was the lion's share was retained by the founders and investors, and then further employees got smaller percentages.
And there's a rumor going around you retired at 29. Is that true?
No, that is not true. But I'm no longer. Yeah. No.
So Zach, I know you also have investors. Is that correct?
Yes.
Was it like pulling teeth, or was it really simple? This guy's got something, I'll give him cash.
Luckily, I have an angel investor who believes in that gut feeling probably more than anything, and it's treated him well throughout his career and the businesses he's ran. So he liked my passion and heart, and that's what got me the investment. So I'm very blessed I didn't have to go through this guy sitting over here. So
as Steve said, passion. Yeah. It really does carry really far. Let me kind of switch gears here. Was there a point where you guys wished you did something else? Steve?
Well, one of the times Zack answered the question that he loved what he was doing and so on and so forth. I've always loved what I was doing, but I've always been scared to death that I was doing the wrong thing. I mean, even today I feel that way. I'm in a business that is in a marketplace that's so big. As long as we can execute, we should do well. But every single day of my life, I'm scared to death. So you have to be able to push through your fears and just do it.
Right. I'm going to get this question finished down the row. If you do have a question, please step up to the microphones, either the right or left. Someone's got to break the ice. But Zach, what about for you? Was there a point you wished you did something else?
The only point is when I spend too many hours and don't reach that balance that's healthy for me, and seeing my kids when I don't see their faces enough. That's the only other time.
Fantastic. Brett?
No.
Fantastic answer. Brian?
No, I'm gonna echo no too. I think this is a good thing.
All right. I'm gonna go to my right.
For coming. Thank you all for coming. Quick question. I heard this quote from Vino Kosla from Sun Microsystems. It goes something like, missionaries are more successful than mercenaries. And I was just wondering, when you first start off in your ventures, to maintain that balance between being in it for the money and also being in it for your passion, what are some key things to remember when you're trying to stay true to yourself, but you also need to maintain cash flow to keep things
You mean
running?
sanity?
Yes.
What do you guys think? Steve, what do you think? What are those things you have to do to just maintain your sanity?
Well, you
Is that
have to
right?
believe in yourself. You have to believe in the people that work with you. You have to believe in everything that you're doing. If you don't believe, how do you expect to get customers to believe? And you have to demonstrate by being able to go the extra mile and doing it yourself.
Brett, what about you? What do you have to do to keep your sanity? Is that about right, sir? Okay.
What do you have to do to keep your sanity? I guess just I don't know. I think Steve's right. Just believe in what you're doing, and
Right.
be
Just,
be
again,
focused
passion.
on what you want to accomplish.
Zach, what about you? What do you think is important to you to keep your sanity?
But it's really just, I think it's the opposite. If you love what you're doing so much, you're having to kind of pull yourself away from it to keep that sanity. So you'll find it's not hard to do to keep working because you love it so much. It's actually making sure you're finding that balance and putting things in perspective. And for me, it's as simple as drawing a little pie chart at the beginning of the year and saying, here's how much time I want to put into each of these things. And if I'm putting too much time in this bucket, I'm going to figure out a way to do it differently. And I've had to make those shifts in life, and some of them have been because I want more time to do other things. And if you've read like Tim Ferriss's book on the 4-hour work week, well, I'll subscribe to everything in there, but there's some really good points, and we've got some unique things that we can do today and ways of managing business that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be everything about you and what you do, because I am about balance as well. But early on, you got to remember when you're building this thing, you still have to push through all those long hours.
Right. Let's go to the left here.
Hello? Okay.
Hello.
I just want to thank you guys for coming tonight. And my question is that we talk about networking, but for us students, how do we network to successful people like you? Because sometimes we're intimidated. So what are the things we should say, and how should we approach it?
What do you guys think? How does he meet successful people like us? How do they meet successful people like us? First of all, I'd like to for you to just come up. Please just come up and shake their hand and introduce yourself, please. No, come on up, guys. Brian, while they're doing that, what do you think? What's it going to take for them to meet people like us?
You know what? The people that it's just persistence. You know, the most persistent people, like this guy. That's exactly it, right there. Just the loudest wheel will get the attention, or the squeakiest wheel gets the oil, as the saying goes. So,
right.
The people that usually have gotten to me are just the ones that are, sometimes the most annoying. But I just, that's just, you got to be aggressive, and there's no, what's the downside, right?
Right. As we said earlier, shake and a smile.
Right.
Brett, what about you? What's it going to take for these guys? How are they going to meet people like you guys?
Well,
and
I don't know. Me? Yeah, just come talk to me.
What about you, Zach?
Yeah. I don't know. There's a million ways. Tweet me, find me on Facebook, come up to me. I mean, don't be intimidated.
Don't be intimidated. Just say hi.
And Steve, you're on campus, and I don't think I've ever seen you walk away from anybody. Even when you were busy, you stayed 5 minutes later to chit-chat.
Well, I love people. My cell phone number is on all of our company press releases. I have a personal website. All my contact information is there. And generally, people are very, very keen at not just calling you frivolously. I get a lot of emails. I tell people if I don't get to them right away, send it to me again so it doesn't get lost in the heap. And I agree with Harris. I've met some pretty powerful people by just calling them and saying, I'd like to get to know you. We sold, as I said, to Walmart for years, and I saw Mr. Sam walking in the hallway, and I asked him if he'd go to lunch with me. He said, absolutely. And that started a relationship. Same thing with Herb Kelleher. I just thought of somebody else that I knew, an amazing man, Art Linkletter. Have any of you ever heard of Art Linkletter? Probably not. He just died here recently at the age of 96, I think. But he had a TV program called Kids Say the Darndest Things. And I met him in a shopping mall. So, just don't be afraid to shake hands and introduce yourself and genuinely care about people.
And probably better to have business cards like the gentleman had to the right. It's also not a bad idea to ask them for their business cards. Go ahead, I can repeat it.